Hello everyone, my name is Jack Hintz, and this is my chapter review for Black is the Body, Her Glory. I'm basically just going to go over my favorite parts of the chapter and then go over the diet and basically just describe what my favorite thing was and, all the things I thought were effective and how they tie back to class. So I'm going to start with, the chapter starts with Isabella and it's talking about how she's flattening her hair, or quote, flattening it a few days before her birthday. She's talking about Julia and Tamara's son and they're sitting like together and it's kind of interesting. And she's very descriptive in the very opening section. She's very illustrative. There's a lot of adjectives and adverbs going in there, so it really is good for imagery and it kind of immerses you into the scene right away. It kind of grounds you. You know what I mean? So then it talks about Isabella's hair and it makes the author feel like her little girl is gone and in her place emerges the head of celebrities, freaks, and cartoon characters. I think this is just because Emily is seeing her daughter with her hair like done up for the first time and she's thinking, wow, okay, I've never like done this before. This is new to me as a parent. And it's not my little girl with just her short hair anymore. Now she's actually wanting to style it in order to think of herself as beautiful and stuff like that. She describes a scene where it starts raining. They run back to the car, all covering her hair up, and Emily worries that Isabella will view the elements and like the rain and humidity as her enemy now, and so that's kind of just like the end of that little section. And then it says it flashes forward to a little section where her daughters were nearly bald when she met them. Her and John, they really liked their bald little heads. They said it made their eyes look like bigger and like more beady, but they let them grow it out. She describes Isabella's hair as her garden because she every day would spend more and more time on it, just braiding it and just working on it. And they would sit together in the living room and do it. And she talked about the videos and techniques she would learn and watch stuff on YouTube about it and stuff like that. She said the braiding became quote private and meditative. It was a mid-afternoon thing in her living room. Her and Isabella like bonded over it intensely. You know what I mean? It was very a mother and daughter kind of bonding moment. And she would say things like, these are our braids and this is our hair, and like Isabella wouldn't correct her. So I think that they were all kind of they had a sense of togetherness at that moment in the chapter. Emily described them as her happiest moments and how Tamara taught them like different techniques and like different parts of the hair, and as she get older she would teach them about cornrows instead of just like straight braiding. She would teach them about cornrows and how Emily would just kind of like sit and watch as Tamara would just do her hair for her, and she would kind of like try and get involved. But eventually Tamara would like forbid her from like being around during the during like giving her cornrows and like just the whole time. And then it flashes forward to a section with Emily's father, and she's talking to him on the phone. She goes, "Hey, Dad," and the first thing he responds with is like, "So what's with your daughter's hair?" Like she kind of panicked. She's like, "Oh yeah, well Julia just likes it short," and her dad's like, "No, this is like, no, I can't have that." So she like offers to pay to take them to a beauty shop. And so she did. Julia didn't really like it at all. She went in, and the second they came at her with scissors and a hairdryer, she freaked out, and she just was like, I don't like any of this like hair grooming equipment, even though Emily tried her best to convince her, and she just kind of ran off, and they went back to doing their own thing with her hair. She kind of said that the stylist at the place gave her a very dirty look and kind of like looked at her like really concerned because she was like, she said Emily felt like she failed as a mother, most importantly a black mother. She felt like she had to be a custodian to her beauty, and she had failed her daughter in this sense. And this is again another flashback. I think the flashbacks in this chapter were very effective. It's kind of like I think like a triptych almost, like where they can kind of go like back and forth between scenes. So I really enjoyed that part of this chapter. She just flashback to her mother dying, and she cuts her hair. Describes the difference between the black and white barber when she goes in to get her hair really cut short. She wanted to like said she wanted to wear her grief, and so she went into the original barber, and I can't remember the name of the guy, but he was cutting her hair, and he was like, God gave you all this like glorious hair, like it's kind of a shame that you're cutting it off. And she was like, yeah, no, I understand. But then she went to the white barber, and she didn't really ask what her parents think. She was just like, how much you want cut off? But even though the white barber did a terrible job, and she said she ended up crying afterwards. She said a quote from her mother was, quote, "Cut your hair or lose your glory." Emily describes her troubles with her hair when she was in grade school. She like talks about having to like keep it down and like trying to press it and like steam it and just do all these things she can to get it to stay flat. But eventually she just gave up and just kind of like let it go how it was. When she simply was asked by someone, "What are you afraid of?" regarding her hair, she realized she was afraid of her hair being like free and quote simply being black. I think that was a really powerful part of this chapter, and I really enjoyed that. She was the next scene was talking about her and Emily and Isabel are watching the documentary Dark Girls, and it's about like different dolls. And she pauses the screen and she's like, "Isabel, which one do you think is the most beautiful?" And she goes, "Oh, I think they're all beautiful. I think that one looks most like me, but I think they're all beautiful." So that was a redeeming moment for Emily as a mother. She said they have a pink doll they were attached to. They didn't really. She wasn't too worried about it because it wasn't like reinforcing any racial stereotypes or anything like that. She was like, "It's fine. They can just play with the pink doll." And she introduces the character Rose and how the daughters would just love to be with her at all times and just would always come running to Rose's arms. She a little bit later in the chapter, she talks about how she compliments her daughter every day, or her daughters rather, to, quote, build a fortress against the world out there, brick by brick, just compliment by compliment, making them think and know that they're beautiful and believe it in their hearts. She, again, flash forwards, again, very effective use of the flash forward, to the car ride right after her hair's been flattened, where it's raining, and she said, Julia was right. She kind of had a fear, but Julia was right. This kind of, like, almost not ruined Isabella, but, like, ruined her sister, because, like, every time that Isabella wouldn't let Julia do it, she would get very upset, and, like, so it kind of became a source of, like, discourse in their family. So she was kind of right, and she felt like she had let her daughters down as a mother. She then talks about Tamara fixing her hair. Emily's dad, at the very end, Tamara's just like, okay, I'll fix it up. You know what I mean? This is gonna be okay. I'm gonna just take care of this. And when Emily's dad sees Julia's hair, she says she's a beautiful woman, in very much contrast to what she said earlier. And that's how the chapter closes out. This I really like this chapter. This was kind of cool. I like chapters that kind of like focus on one topic. They're easy for me to follow, and Emily does a really good job of telling the story in this way. This relates to the class we're doing right now and the things, or class we're doing. This relates to the stuff we're doing in class right now and the things we're learning, because the storytelling strategies that Emily uses in this, like flash forwarding, flashbacking, and just like very descriptive and very illustrative ways to describe like the facial expressions and the environments around her. It really kind of ties back into the storytelling thing we did this week, where we all evaluated each other's stories and would give a 5-minute speech, because I feel like that was just, we all had to be very descriptive and very, like, I think illustrative, I guess is a good word for it. And I think this was a really good chapter for that. She really described texture of her hair well, and she would definitely describe like just the environment well. And I think it was it really resonated with me for that reason.